Hi, welcome back to the Jackie and Glen channel. I'm Jackie.
And I'm her husband, Glen.
He's my husband, Glen.
Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our reviews. Back off of vacation, finished watching Married at First Sight, and now we're ready to give you our review of Married at First Sight, Season 14, Episode 14. It's just a blip.
First of all, y'all get into this almondy goodness. I'm so brown. I got tan. But anyway.
She got tan on vacation, but it was good to have you able to take it.
My nose is peeling.
It's peeling just a little bit, but I still love her the way that I love her the way that she is.
I look like milk chocolate now instead of a Werther's original.
You're hilarious. You're hilarious.
Anyway, 13 days till decision day, and it's retreat time. All the couples are going on their retreat. Yeah, except for obviously the one that's missing. Thank God.
Yeah,
they didn't pop up. Nobody popped up.
Nobody popped up. We haven't seen them in a long time. I didn't expect them
to, but so the one thing I want to say about them, you know, getting ready to go, Jasmina and Michael's little interaction was funny because he was like, you know, we're just going to Vermont for the weekend. She's like, yeah, I know. Do you know who you're married to? Because she's got a suitcase full of stuff to the point where she's got to stand on it to close it.
Yeah, for a 3-day trip. But I know some people like that.
I don't. But
I didn't know people like that. They pack a lot for 3-day trips. I'm not talking about you. What I'm saying.
Oh, I see. I thought you was trying to be shady. That's why I said I don't know.
No, I'm not throwing shade. I'm not.
Even though I didn't use all the clothes, neither one of us used all the clothes we packed for the cruise.
Right, and we had to switch some bags and stuff like that, so the weight allowance wouldn't get us. But nonetheless, I'm not talking about you.
But okay, good. So Michael and Jasmina said, you know, they're happy with where they are right now, but they still got a lot of work to do. You know, she says we want to build a deeper connection, and he was like, okay, so in their conversation, what do you think would cause us to, you know, make that deeper connection? Like, what would it take? What does it look like? And she was like, I don't know, you know, it's just about, she's so vague, about connecting, and it can happen at any moment. And, you know, it's like, I wouldn't say we're at a 10 right now, say like we're at the middle. And, you know, the chemistry would need to be like more than halfway for me to say yes on decision day. I don't know, it's just a lot of fluff, I feel like.
To me, like, all you had to do is, if he tips it just a little meter to 6, that's more than halfway, right? So it doesn't have to be 10. But if you ever notice, she never gives a definite answer, right? She always somewhere in the middle to make you feel like, yo, she don't really like this dude. She don't want to hurt his feelings. But she never gives a definite answer about where her and Michael's relationship is. This time she says in the middle, but okay, is it a 5? Give it a 6, give it a 7, give it a whatever. You know, give the man some kind of glimmer of hope, if there's hope. Now, if there's no hope, say, no, man, ain't nothing you can do. Because as we go along, we'll find out Michael's doing everything he can to make sure that this relationship, that there's no dips in this relationship.
Yeah, Lindsay and Mark get to the house first. They have to pick at their room. Jasmina and Michael.
No. I want to say that Lindsay and Mark, they're racing to the house. They're racing everyone to the house. Mark gets out the car and go fly. He's Usain Bolt. Sprints because Lindsay wants the house with the window, the big window.
The room with
the window, right? And so Mark just sprints out the car. I'm like, oh, we beat everybody here.
They were like, you know, they're not going to be far behind. We got to hurry up and get in the house.
Yeah. Competition.
Well, then Jasmina and Michael come, and they're like, you got to do the same thing. Hurry up and find your room. There is a room there with bunk beds. It turns out that's just the extra room, because in the end, it doesn't look like anybody got the bunk bed.
Yeah, you didn't have to worry about it, because you don't have Alyssa and Chris.
But I still feel like there was still enough rooms for everybody. Nobody would have needed.
But they said it was 5 bedrooms, so somebody would have ended up with a bunk bed, I think.
Well, that would have worked for the other couple that's not.
But if you know anything about bunk beds, they do come apart, and you can put them together and make one big bed. I had bunk beds.
Taking that bed down?
I was a single child. Not single child. At a point in my life, I was a single child. I don't have only child. And I didn't have a brother, but I had bunk beds. And so you put bunk beds together. Don't ask me why my mother bought bunk beds. Because she likes to buy stuff. But
so anyway, then Noy and Steve come, and you know, as they're driving, you know, they had this conversation about them needing to have, you know, come to an agreement on the social media thing. And, you know, it was that whole thing, the way the production was breaking the screen apart and dragging the conversation to seed. It was like, you know, he was like, you can't post that. It makes it look like something's wrong with our relationship. I told you it doesn't have anything to do with you. That's just your perception. And he's trying to let her know, okay, so, but my perception is probably going to be a lot of people's perception. And I'm trying to get you to see that. And she was like, you know, it wasn't directed at you and, or our relationship. And she was just like not trying to bend on the social media thing. And he was like, you know, he was really surprised that she was so firm in her stances. Like she doesn't see that it's affecting him and hurting him. And it's like she don't care.
It's a 5-year gap between those two. And she's still young. I mean, she's 33 years old. And again, she's selfish. She's stuck in her ways. We learn that a little bit later when she talks about the apartment situation. She wants what she wants, and she wants it her way. And she's not willing to compromise in this marriage. And Steve has a more mature mind than her, and he's trying to give it to her in a mature way. But she doesn't get it because she's stuck on what she wants. It's about her. Even when we get to the answers later on, it's about her. And she doesn't want to compromise in the relationship at all. That's why she says she wants to go and live in her own apartment afterwards. That's why she, remember when her and Steve was on the couch, she's like, well, let's live apart for a couple of months. You know, she wants it her way. And change, anything different from what she's normal to, she's scared of. And this is fear for her. It's fearful.
Yeah, you kind of jumped ahead with them, but because they had that whole conversation when they were in the car driving home too.
Yeah, but I'm not saying
about living situation. Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but this is not the first time she mentioned the living situation. Right. She mentioned it before in the previous episode about her wanting to live apart.
Right.
You know, and so I'm just going back to that one.
Oh yeah, but I was just saying.
Okay.
It's a preview of the rest of their conversation too, when they were in the car talking about the living situation and basically what it came down to, because we can go there. We don't have to do, because it wasn't couple by couple this episode anyway, so we're not going to do it like that. But her thing is, I moved to Boston to be with somebody, and then he left me high and dry.
Yeah.
And so she like had to start all over. She was like, I don't want to start all over. And so she talked about the fact that, you know, when I moved into this studio after he left me high and dry, this was my first time being on my own, and it's security for her. And she was like, I don't want to let that go. Just not saying something's going to go wrong, but just in case, because I don't like that feeling. So she's got the being a refugee thing, growing up poor, them struggling. That's her issue. She also has been abandoned by, you know, somebody she thought she would be with. Yeah. So she's got all of that playing into. And she told him, I don't want you to think it's you, it's me. Like I have
these insecurities,
anxieties, you know, a distrust kind of, you know, just like, no.
She got major issues. I mean, issues that she had to work out. And that's why I think she latched on to Steve so quickly, because she wants to be a part of something. But she wants it her way.
So basically in the end, they didn't want to get into it too much. Noy was like, I'm not going to talk about it around the other couples. I don't necessarily want them in our business. I'm just going to go and act like everything is all fine. But it wasn't like completely faking, and they didn't even fake, but like Bao and Johnny, you know, Johnny was like I'm going to avoid her. And so it wasn't like that kind of thing, but it was like, she said, I'm going to act like it's okay. Not that I'm mad at you, but just not trying to get into
But you know, couples done that all the time, where you and your couple had a spat or issue, or whatever case may be. You and your couple. You and your spouse or your mate that had a spat or an issue. And you, everything is normal except for that issue. Doesn't mean you don't love that person. Doesn't mean you don't care about them. Doesn't mean that you don't want to have a good time. And that's what the conclusion they came to. We're going to still have a good time. And even though we still have this issue, because again, that issue is a major issue, but it's not that major where it's not that detrimental that it should stop you from having a good time on a couples retreat. That's something that can still be talked out and worked out. Not like he's cheated or she cheated or anything. Like, it's a social media post.
Right. Elijah and Katina get there last, and so for that night, The next thing we see is the men are in the kitchen cooking. The ladies are outside in the hot tub. And we see Mark and Michael have a conversation. Michael's like, do you cook? And Mark's like, yeah, cold cereal and toast. Which is ironic because then Olajuwon says that Mark and Steve say they can cook. And I'm like, what conversation? He must have meant Mike, not Mark. Because Mark...
No, he meant Mark. Because remember, he goes back with Mike and says, oh yeah, Mike, I ain't too sure about Mike's cooking because, you know, Jasmina said he gave her a raw shrimp once.
It's no way that Mark told. It's no way. Ain't no way. But anyway, but yes, he said, I don't really trust Michael because Jasmina said he got the raw shrimp, which I laughed at because I'm like... That's
bad when you can't tell the difference between a raw shrimp
because
and a cooked
shrimp changes colors when it's cooked.
Yeah.
So... Yeah. I don't know how he gave her a raw shrimp.
Maybe she said it was raw, but it really wasn't raw. Maybe she don't know the difference.
I don't know, maybe. So the ladies are in the hot tub talking about, oh, what do you think they're cooking? And Jasmina jokes is like, they probably fixing spaghetti. You know, that's men's go-to is pasta or whatever. And coincidentally, they did fix up pasta. Steve fixed up Alfredo. And then they did spaghetti as well. And what ended up happening is Steve cooked the meal. And the other guys was pretty much his sous chef.
Yeah, chopping up tomatoes, onions,
breaking up the pasta and put it in the pot. Boiling
water, putting salt in there. Steve did a cooking. Olajuwon fell in love with Steve.
He was like, "Man, you cook like this every day."
Dude, like,
and I'm on the fourth, fifth floor, whatever floor I'm on, and you downstairs cooking. I should be down there.
He's like, I cook about 4 or 5 times a week.
He was like, "What?" Olajuwon was like,
Olajuwon was
I've been missing out.
He was missing out.
I need to go to your apartment.
Steve doing what Steve does. He knows how to cook. He's a house husband, right? And not nothing bad. He's the guy who works around the house. He can cook. He cleans. He know how to cook a meal. Hey, because if you watch the scene, Steve really was the one doing all the cooking. Everybody else was sitting there talking, you know, conversing about their mates and their spouse and all that other thing else was going on. So Steve was the man. Olajuwon was like, you can tell.
He really didn't help cook.
Olajuwon didn't do it. Olajuwon was sitting down the whole time. That's why he wanted somebody who can cook, because he can't boil. He can't cook.
I think his sous chef part was just filling up the pot with water.
He can't look. He can't. Bruh can't cook. So he's like, that's why he really need Katina. Or wants Katina, because yeah, that's it.
But you know, while they're in the kitchen talking or whatever, you know, they asked Mark, how's it been since we had the volleyball game? And Mark's like, you know, it's been pretty good. You know, she's been there for me. And, you know, if we could stay in this healthy space, you know, it'll be a yes for me on decision day if we can stay with this good vibe. And in the meanwhile, the ladies are talking and Lindsay talks about, you know, since I've been with Mark, he's had all these blows and, you know, he's got a good heart. And so I want to help him and be there for him. But he's just like been going through. Basically, she was like, his life is falling apart since we've been together. And they had that conversation later, which we'll get to because it's something that works. So I won't go to that now because, you know, there's a connecting story with that. But I was like, gosh, girl, you just love running him down.
All day long, every day. Look, you can't beat a man up so much before he like, you know, I'm out. You can't beat him up so much before he say, you know what, I'd rather not come home. I'd rather hang out on the roof. I'd rather not do anything. He's Mark right now, I feel like he's a guy who is counting down the time before he can get out of prison. Before he can get out of prison, get away from her. It's just like, yo, but he keeps bouncing back and forth too. Like, well, I want to be with her, I don't. Because at this point, everything's been going good for the last couple of days. So he's loving it. He told the guys when they was meeting in the kitchen, right now everything's going well. Me and Lindsay are in a good spot. You know, I like her, appreciate her. You know, I want to be here. So.
We see Olajuwon talking to Michael. You know, you and Jasmina look like y'all are getting closer. You're in a good place or whatever. And Olajuwon was like, yeah, I prayed about that man. And Michael was like, for real? He was like, yeah, seriously. And I had to go back and watch it again. I was like, because I wasn't looking up when they said it. And I was like, who said that? Olajuwon literally said, I was praying for y'all to be good. And Michael was like, are you serious? And Olajuwon was like, yes.
Yo, Olajuwon, man, I really think dude has a genuine heart. He wants everybody to be successful. He wants everybody to do right. Also, what we learned here, Olajuwon knows everything about everybody else's relationship, too.
Yeah.
Olajuwon is nosy. You know, he knows a lot about what goes on with everybody else. But he genuinely wants marriage to work out. I think he genuinely liked Michael and Jasmina, and he's seen their progress. We already know that they're kind of close because Katina always goes to talk to Jasmina when they have issues and problems. And so we keep moving on. So, he wants them to do well. Mm-hmm. And he's friends with everybody. So I will put it that way. He's friends with everybody.
Yeah. Steve says, we've been, me and Noy have been doing good. We do have some dips here and there. Mm-hmm. But, there's been progress too. And Michael says, normally, well, Steve said dips are good because you can rebound from that. And Michael says, well, normally I would say dips are good, but because we have such little time left, we can't afford to have any dips at this point.
Right.
Him and Jasmina, because they had such a rough first month.
And that's what Jasmina said too when she was outside with the women, saying, look, we already missed a month. We can't afford to miss another month. We got 4 weeks, so we have to put all this into where we at now to make this thing work. So we can't afford to miss any time. So he needs to continue to put his best foot forward, and I need to continue to put my best foot forward, and we see where we go here on at decision day. Mm-hmm. And so that was, and one thing I would say about Jasmina in this episode was she was honest. We saw kind of a different side of Jasmina here in this episode, mm-hmm. more emotional side. Of course, she didn't share anything about herself, but she was emotional to Michael's needs, and she kind of want this relationship to work. So I think she does want the relationship to work with her and Michael. Michael has to continue to do, and we said it all the time. We said on our All-Star panel, we said now Michael has to continue to do what he's doing with Jasmina, and that's kind of break the walls down with her. And she has to be able to open up. Mm-hmm.
So the guy, Steve kind of tosses out the thing with social media. Yeah. The conversation him and Noy have been having. They didn't get real deep into it when he talks to the guys, but he was like, I told her, if it's something that's like reflective of okay, this is what he says. He says, we want to solve our issues, not take it to social media. And Mike was like, what do you mean? She puts out there, we had a disagreement. And Elijah was like, nah, it's subliminal posted. That's why Glen was like, Elijah be knowing everybody's business.
Everybody's business.
Yeah, he was like, no, the subliminal post. And so they had a conversation about that. And
because you got to look at it. I'm sure he follows her on Instagram, right? And so when that post came out, Elijah was like, oh, dang, she's talking about Steve? And he probably asked Steve, yo, y'all all right? Y'all good? Because that's the type of person he is. Now, I'm not saying that Steve saw it from his family member, but I'm sure Elijah has something to do with it, So that's where you can tell Elijah has got a piece in everybody. And plus, people talk on the rooftop. Mm-hmm. So. And so Steve was like, I just want to know, do y'all agree with her? How do you feel about it? And Elijah his thing was, he said, it should stop if it's causing hurt to you, if it if it hurts your feelings or whatever. And Steve was like, yeah, it made all the guys, it made sense to them, but Elijah was the only one that spoke up. And so Steve just shares later, what he's having a problem is he wants to have these conversations with Noy, but it's hard giving her feedback because then giving her feedback upsets her. I feel like her and Lindsay are kind of cut from the same cloth, but they respond in different ways. Yeah. But when you give them criticism, constructive criticism, not even necessarily destructive criticism, right. Negative criticism, but because all criticism is not bad, but they both go to the left, but in different ways. Like Lindsay goes all the way off the deep end. And Noy just gets childishly irritated, and it gets sheltered though.
Yeah.
Noy takes it like a little kid. And Lindsay takes it like she ready to throw down and fight. Like it's an attack. Yo, I can tell you everything wrong with you, but you can't tell me nothing wrong with me.
The one thing I just want to bring out about the dinner, this one little part, that here goes Lindsay. So, of course, they said, Steve did most of the cooking. They were his sous chefs. Mm-hmm. Everybody notices that Mark doesn't have any noodles. And, it's because Lindsay said it's because his wife's been restricting his salt intake. I'm watching his diet. He said this is the healthiest he's ever eaten. This is the best he's felt. And his weight since he was in his 20s. I'm helping. His wife is helping his health. She's just going on and on about what she's doing for him. It's all
about her, dog. It's, again... She makes it about her. She needs that attention. She's attention seeking. She wants attention. I'm diagnosing her. She's attention seeking. She wants the attention when she's getting credit, because we find out later on when people are coming at her or they saying things, but she doesn't like that attention. But she wants attention. When it's time to give credit, Lindsay always wants to pat on the back because it's all about her. You can do what you want to do for people who are losing weight, unless they do it themselves. It doesn't make a hill. It doesn't do anything.
But most of it, and then that whole conversation, like, Lindsay was very boisterous, very loud, just obnoxious laugh, and like everybody's looking at her like she was entertaining herself. It was irritating me watching, so I knew if I was there, I'd be like really, can you stop?
She's talking about one of us are not going to make it back.
Yeah, she had a whole joke. I cracked myself up.
Foreshadowing.
I was like, girl.
She's foreshadowed because everybody didn't leave at the same time.
That's true. The couples kind of shared the table. Michael talks about how, he's been opening up more to Jasmina and, how they're in a good place. And he was like, don't you think so? She was like, I disagree. And she busts out laughing. So they still kind of,
they
banter and play with like that.
Elijah was like, dog, whoo. I thought, he said for a minute, bro, I was like, oh, dang, that sucks.
Mark and Lindsay talked about how they had a good week, and she talks about how she had went to a really negative space at one point, and he was able to bring her out and was like, don't get stuck there. It's just a blip. And everybody was like, oh yeah, she was like, I coined the phrase. They were like, okay, that's something to keep in mind though. It's like when we're going through, it's just a blip. It's not a place where we have to stay in.
She just watched the finish. She was just watching some Marvel movies.
Anyway. It was
she ain't coined that. It's the blip.
But that was a different kind of blip in the Marvel.
But it's just a blip. It's a moment, right? You need to forget about, and so that was a moment. I got it.
Elijah and Katina, they talk about how they've been doing good. They've been on a good streak. And Elijah actually said, for the place that we're in, I have to give credit to my wife. She's been doing a good job keeping us on track and focused and, in a good space, being, communicating with each other. Because he did say at one point, when we have some, like he said before, we've had some tough spots, some rough spots, but we're in a good place right now. And in his vignette, I think it was that he says, this is the first relationship where I haven't been the leader. It's actually more of a partnership. And so that explains, like, he came into this feeling like, I need to tell her what to do. I need to lead. I need to be the boss, blah, blah. And he's realizing that Katina's not that kind of woman. Like, I don't need you to do that for me. Even though I might not be the type of, have been doing the kind of adulting that you feel like I had. I'm an adult. And I can handle myself.
And over time, he learned that. He's learning that. And I know some of you would say, oh, he's just speaking words. But you can see that there is a partnership. You can see in this episode that he has showed much more respect towards her. Even when they had that conversation later, when they was having their picnic, when they were eating. All right? So you can see his maturity on that aspect and on that level, where he really to believe it's a partnership. As she called him during that time frame, he is, what's the word I'm looking at? Meticulous. By how, sticking to a time frame, in which you can't always stick to a time frame when married, because there's different variables, different things happen.
Right. Steve kind of vaguely brings up the issue at the table with the social media. He doesn't say exactly what it is. He's like, yeah, we had an issue. Do you want to talk about it now? Well, she don't really want to talk about it.
You got to go back to that, because Lindsay or Jasmina, one of the two, I can't remember which one it was, brings it up like, oh, there was an issue that you wanted to talk about, but Noy wasn't there. So you didn't talk about the issue. Do you want to talk about it now? And that's when Steve goes into it. And he's like, can I talk about it? Even though the guys already know what it is, he kind of asks Noy, and she's like, no, I don't want to talk about it. But he still kind of brings it up in a roundabout way.
Right. And so then Noy's like, I don't want to talk about it. We can talk about it later. And then when they go to bed, Steve was like, do we want to have this conversation? And she was like, no, I really don't want to talk about it, because I just feel like we're going to go back and forth and we're just going to be bickering. And I don't want to do that on a trip with the other couples. Like, I want to have a good time. And he agrees. He doesn't want to get into it because he knows it'll put her in a bad space. He was like, I don't want to go to bed mad. And so,
I can understand that. But at the same time, if this is supposed to be like counsel therapy or, couple therapy, then bring an issue up. Now, granted, you very rarely see Noy comments on other people's relationships when they do this couple type thing. I see both ways. Can they help me out? can it help your relationship out? Yes. But she feel like she may be attacked because she knows she's wrong. Mm-hmm. I think that's why her biggest no, like, I don't want other couples to know, because she knows that she knows that she's wrong for putting all this stuff out on social media, because the other girls are not doing it.
Right.
The other women are not doing it. And so she's doing it subliminally, trying to get back at Steve or have people on her side. And I think because she know the women at this table probably won't be on her side, she doesn't want to put it out.
Yeah. So the next day, the plan is for them to have a field day and a picnic, and but first the couples have different little things they go for.
Yeah.
And so Mike and Jasmina says, we're going to be meeting up with a medium. I want you to feel comfortable. If you don't want to do it, just let me know. He was like, I'm nervous, but I'm open to it. And she was like, she's excited. She thinks this will bring them closer and maybe tell them something about their future, to help him open up about his past. That'll make them feel closer. And she's like, I want you to do it for yourself, not because I want you to. And he was like, no, I'm fine. I could,
right, because he didn't know what a medium was until she explained it to him. He didn't know what a medium was. And she said that, and so he went along with it. We laughed. We got a chuckle out because we know that Alyssa went to a psychic and Jasmine is going to a psychic. That's probably why they're pretty close. They both have this psychic attraction.
Yeah.
Each his own.
That next morning, we see Mark and Lindsay. She's trying to wake him up, nuzzling him and kissing all over him. And he's like, don't do that. Don't wake me up like that. Why you can't just, shake me and be like, husband, it's time to get up. Don't pull on me and talk. I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, she played too much. Like, how else would you want her to get you up? Like,
but no, she even do the sexual joke in there. Like, how would you want me to wake you up? He was like, nah, just give me a couple hours. Give me an hour. I mean, maybe he was tired. She talks about how Mark sleeps. He's the first one to go to bed. He's the first one to take a nap. He's the last one to get up. That sounds to me like somebody that's depressed that don't want to be around you. It sounds like somebody who doesn't want to be around the person that they're with.
Well, maybe not her so much, but with everything that's going on in his life, it's like, what am I getting up for early? I don't have to go to work. So somebody's taking care of my mom and my grandma right now. But
you're on the schedule. I'm one of those type people where if you're sleeping, I'm gonna let you sleep. But at the same time, Lindsay seems to have a person that she can't be up by herself. That she said, I want to be everybody. If I'm up early, I want everybody else to be going and get going. That's not the case for some people, and you have to learn that in relationships, especially when you're married. There's some people that don't operate that way. You don't operate that way. I'm up at 5:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. 7:30. Well, again, as a time frame. I'm not trying to wake you up intentionally. I know some mornings I wake you up accidentally because I hit a light switch or something like that. But Mark.
But just for the record, I don't sleep in late.
No, you don't sleep in late. I said 7.
I'm just adding that.
I said 7 to 7:30. I'm just an early riser. I'm not saying you sleep in late.
For the people out there watching, just letting y'all know.
For those in the back.
Letting y'all know.
I know you up. You was up this morning early. Real early. So, again, we're good. You good? I'm good. Let's keep on the river.
Anyway, she says I need more life for my husband. And he was like, well, you got enough life for 7 people. So, like rock on, give me an hour. And so later on, they're outside, talking. They're going to be going for a sound bath. It'll be calming because, you all hyper and everything. And she was like, that's rude. I was like, really? I really had to sit there and think. I was like, did he say something else? Because he called her hyper and she went to the left. That's rude. And why would you say that? He was like, it was just a joke. But
it's always deeper with her. It's not. That's why he walks on eggshells, because he does not know what to say. And I'm not saying what he said was wrong. He said the sky is blue, no, it's cloudy outside. God dog it. He's at that point in their relationship that Mark cannot say anything without Lindsay catching offense to it. She would joke with him and play with him the whole time, blah, 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 blah. But when he try to play back, it is an issue. And he even said, I'm joking. Like, you are rude. You're nasty. You're rude.
No, she called him rude for calling him calling her hyper.
You are hyper. You are hyper. She's hyper.
But I don't know. I don't see how that's rude. But she basically in her vignette was like, he takes digs at me, and there's only so many digs that somebody could take before you say something. And
all the digs she get is due. All the digs she get is due. But your life is falling apart.
And he basically said that she says stuff all the time. So it's like I always tell one of my children, I'm not gonna say which one it is.
Yeah, don't say. They watch the reviews.
Or at two of them, truthfully. Y'all can dish it out, but you can't take it.
You can't take it.
You can dish it out all day, but you can't take it, and you can't be like that. Stop dishing it then.
Yep.
I always say, do unto others that you had them do unto you. That's the golden rule.
Yep. She can't take it from anybody.
Yeah, she just went to the left, and that's not the only time. But anyway, so we see Olajuwon and Katina.
Well, even that, I mean, real quick on her. She even said in the vignette, "I'm done." Again, I'm done, and walked off. Like, oh, he want to do it? He let him be by himself. Like over the hyper comment, you're done over the hype. It's much deeper.
I'm done with him.
Yeah, I'm done with him. Like, how many times has she been done this season?
A lot.
It couldn't have been me. I'd have took the credit. Look, it would have been done. All right, cool. We just here. I'm just here for the check right now at this point. If I'm Mark, I'm here for the check.
Yeah. So we see Olajuwon and Katina. They go to see the alpacas.
Yes.
And she's like, we had a rough experience with the horses before, but I know my husband likes animals, and so I'm going to, suck it up and, make this a better experience than it was before. And so, they go to see the alpacas. They have a unique experience. It's hardly ever that alpacas, this is what the farmer says on the farm, we had a unique experience. You hardly ever have alpaca babies that are born in, what am I trying to say?
Confined. I don't want to say confined.
Yeah, what's the word though?
In zoos.
In civilization.
In civilization, yeah.
For lack of a better word. And a little baby alpaca was born 15 minutes before. Fresh, like still dripping with amniotic fluid on it, barely trying to get his legs up under it, and then the mommy alpaca actually passed the placenta while they were there. Right. And Olajuwon was like, I never seen a placenta before, but what messed me up is the farmer did say, oh, the dogs will be eating that in a little bit. He was like,
what? There's some humans in some cultures and civilizations who eat that.
They do.
Sorry.
But they go out walking. Olajuwon said, we out here walking into gazebos. He was like, that's not right.
The llamas. He didn't say
the llamas.
The llamas. Like, no, dog. They're not llamas. They're not gazebos. Gazebos are what you set in, right? Those are alpacas.
And he said it later when he was walking. He called it something. She was like, they're alpacas. I'm like, where do we get gazebos from? And I understand the llamas. It's a llama.
Llama.
It's a llama. He took the llamas.
The llamas.
But he was like, this rich living out here. We don't walk no dogs. We be walking the and whatever he called it. I don't think he called it a llama then or a gazebo. I don't know what he said, but that's what she corrected him. But they just really had a good time. Afterwards, they had a little picnic. It was just like crackers and cheese and some wine. And she was like, I feel like at this point I want us to have some deeper conversations with you, like about what our future will be. And he was like, well, speaking of that, you said how many more years you got for school? She said 2 years. And he was like, but you said you want to have a kid in 2 years. So how you going to have a kid in 2 years if you just starting your career? I know for me, when I was first starting my career, I made sure I paid my student loans off. I took care of my debt. I got my house and everything. So I'm free and clear. So that once I did that, I could live my life. And once I got married, I could do da-da-da-da. And how you going to do that? And how you can't handle kids? And how you going to travel? That's too much. And she was like, that's too much for you. I could probably start my career and have kids. Everybody has a different balance. You can't tell me that's too much for me. That's how you feel.
We know there's a different balance for everybody. Some people have kids and totally shut down. There's other people who have kids and they can manage and maintain. And she talked about a single mother, growing up with a single mother who's able to handle everything, right? Mm-hmm. They can do that. When you have a partner, and this is my problem with Olajuwon here, he was speaking about him. Mm-hmm. It's no longer about him. It's about we. It's about us. If that means she has a child and that you have to, because you work days, because you work nights, you have to be up to help take care of the child. Guess what we have to do, right? You as Elijah one, the husband, would have to take care of the child during the day while your wife went to work. And at night, the wife would have, Katina, would take care of the child while you went to work. So it would be that in those days that you both are off, they would have to figure out a plan. Again, he became so fixated on what his plan and how his plan was going to be. And at 2 years, well, guess what? When you get to the 2 year mark, it may not work out that you want to have kids at 2 years, right? She may finish school in a year and a half. She may not want to be pregnant now. So again, that's how we are financially. Because again, if you're financially stable and she marries you and his goal was for her to move back into his house, right? She doesn't have a mortgage.
Right.
Now, if you financially sit there and a plan, you guys can pay off her student loan. And if you're doing well and you're married, guess what you can do? The last 2 years, she don't have to worry about a student loan because you guys can front the money from her college. So now she only has 2 years of student loan to pay off instead of 4. So it's always a plan if you sit down as a married couple and figure out the plan.
Right. Yeah, and the word that she used for him, she was like, he's so militant.
Militant,
that
yes.
it has to be this way. That's not even the right word, though. She shouldn't. I would call that stringent.
Yes.
Or strict or fixated.
Fixated.
But I don't know why she said militant. But anyway, yeah, she was like, he's stuck that things have to go like this, and this. It has to be like that, and that. And she was like, it don't have to be that.
And I understand that because if you have a plan, you want to be meticulous about your plan. You want to stick to your game plan. If you have a plan, but again, that's his plan. It's not their plan. And understand by sticking to the plan. And this is what happens, and because you're an athlete, right? He's an athlete. And I understand the mindset of an athlete, especially when you play at a different level, because you always go into a game with a game plan. And what you've always been taught since you played in Little League, whatever, that this is the plan, and follow the plan and you'll be successful. So what he has done, he's been following this plan and has worked for him, so he doesn't want to deviate from the plan, not knowing that he's thrown another variable into the plan, which is his wife. Mm-hmm. So now we have to regroup and figure out what the plan for us is and not Elijah one.
Mm-hmm. We see Noy and Steve. They go on I guess kind of like a carnival amusement park kind of adventure. They take the little tram or whatever you want. Which one you call it?
Ski lift.
It's like a ski lift, but it's no snow.
Yeah.
But up to the top of the little mountain or whatever, and then they get in the little coaster that's a single person coaster and go down that, and then they get on like a pendulum. Around here we got an amusement park. It's like a berserker.
Yeah.
It's not a big boat though, but it's a pendulum. And I was like disturbed because they was the only two on there, and I was like, I need to balance this weight out. We need some people on the backside. But anyway, it's just us swinging. So they were swinging, and they had a really good time. And Noy's thing was, I think it would be important for us to always set time to do fun and different stuff. So that we could keep it fresh and lively and enjoying each other. And he said in his vignette, it was like, I enjoyed having fun with Noy, but I'm gonna have to bring up this social media conversation because she didn't want to talk about it at the table. She didn't want to talk about it that night. I feel like she wants to try to sweep past it, and we're not just going to skip over this. We're going to have to deal with it.
Right, and that's why, like Steve was shorty, we're going to have to deal with this issue because it's not the first time. It's the second time, and you're still doing it. So we're really going to have to talk about this issue about social media in our relationship. How much do we want people to know? He's thinking about a grown... And see, Steve is a forward thinker. He's thinking about after the show. See, she thinks it's about just here and now. He's thinking about what happens when if we decide to stay married and the show is over. We have an opportunity to get out of the limelight. You know what I'm saying? We have an opportunity to fall in the background. We have an opportunity to stay away from all this mess, right? Mm-hmm. So what happens, you keep putting stuff out there, you're going to keep bringing us up in social media. I like to live my life private. And lack of a better term.
Yeah. And so he brings it up, as they're having their fun time. And he says, we need to come up with what we feel like is and isn't okay in our marriage, and what are we okay with sharing in our marriage, so we can know this is a conversation I don't want to have with other couples, or a conversation I don't want to kind of play out on social media. How and when do we talk about it? You know, that was really the gist of. They didn't get deep into the social media thing. So, but he was like, I'm gonna bring it up so she knows we're going to talk about this. We're not going to sweep it under the rug.
No.
And to come back to Mark and Lindsay, we see them having a chit chat at the fire. Again, she could dish it out, but she can't take it. So he's out there lighting the fire, and she's like, you know, what are you doing? He's lighting the fire, and what do you think? She was like, I've seen better. You know, so it be stuff like that. Like she don't want nobody. She doesn't want him to take digs at her, but she digs at him all the time, all the time. And so, you know, she was like, you know, I feel like you've been more negative than positive, and I need to hear you say, I'm sorry for the digs, you know, it's belittling, and you cut me down or whatever. He's like, I don't really understand how what I said was belittling. I told you it was a joke. But even for me, it's not a joke. She is hyper. That's been something we've known since the beginning. Her family said so. It's not a joke.
It's a statement.
It's a statement. And I'm not gonna say it's a joke when it's not. It's literally like you are hyper, and it's to help bring you down.
It's who you are. I mean, it's who you are. It is what it is.
And you know, he was like, I'm getting annoyed that just from this little statement, you got this whole big dissertation. It's like, how did you get that from that? And
because it's much more than that.
But that's what I'm saying. If you got this whole dissertation from this one word or this one sentence, then what's really going on? Which is something that Michael tells him later that he needs to ask her. It's not just about this one thing. What is really going on?
Someday he ain't wooing her, right? She wants somebody to woo her. Lindsay wants somebody to be on her hip and attached to her and be up in her face and be saying things. Oh, Lindsay, you so nice. Lindsay, you so good. Lindsay, you so cool.
But she
Lindsay,
goes
I
to
love
the
you.
extreme.
Lindsay, I appreciate you. Lindsay, I thank you for helping me move out of my apartment. Lindsay, I thank you for helping me get a better job. Lindsay, I thank you for taking care of my cats. Lindsay, I thank you for taking care of my mom. And she wants that all day long. That's what she desires. And when he doesn't do that or gives her anything on the opposite, she goes.
But then she went to the extreme. It's like, I feel like you putting me down and trying to make yourself feel better or be bigger. And he was like, no, I'm not trying to. I'm just stating the obvious. Like, you're hyper. You be wilding. The way she laughed all loud at the table was just outrageous. Like, it was just a mess. And I didn't expect it to get any better from there, which we find out.
She's Karen.
Jasmina and Michael go to see the psychic medium, and she's like, you know, what do you want to hear from me? He's like, I'm open to whatever it is that you want to share with us that will help us out. And so the medium hits the fact that, you know, did somebody pass? Who passed? Did get shot in the chest? Yeah, it was my brother. She was like, it happened between the ages of like 3 and 6. He was like, yeah, I was like 5 or whatever. It's a 13-year age difference. Like, the medium was hitting some things with Michael, you know, and him and Jasmine was like, oh, okay, you know, I see something with a prostate. What happened with that? Oh, my dad died from prostate cancer. And Michael was like shocked, like, phew, like, she's actually getting this stuff right. And I'm not, me and my husband had a whole conversation about mediums. I'm not degrading mediums at all, because, you know,
they're powerful.
We're Bible believing folks. So there were mediums in the Bible. That was the girl that had the spirit of divination. So it's real. Like, they really do hear and see the things. It may not necessarily be for the good, or anyway.
It works for them.
So I'm saying she probably really was on it. You could tell that she was on it. So I'm not going to degrade that at all. But the other side of it, I was like, it's one thing to tell what has happened and then to say what's going to happen. And I feel like I didn't want in this situation for Jasmina to be hung up like Alyssa, that, oh, it's going to be this, be that. Because they talk about, are a lot of boys in your family? And he was like, no, it's actually a lot of girls. She was like, well, I see a lot of boys. Like, you're going to have a lot of boys. And, you know, I feel like, yeah, there'll be twins. Are the twins running your family? He's like, well, we got triplets. And she was like, yeah, I see twins. And then the one thing that she kind of hit right for him, maybe not to that extreme, but he's like, I didn't think about it like that. It was like, I feel like when you saw her, it was love at first sight. And he was like, well, I don't know about that. She was like, but when you saw her, you were like, wow.
And she told him it's okay to say no if it wasn't. I mean, it's fine. One thing I did notice about all that, she never said that Jasmina was the person. I want to read between them.
What?
She never said. She said, I see children. She didn't say children with Jasmina. He said, I see boys. She didn't say what. Jasmina was the one who said, oh, I always wanted twins. I always wanted to have twins.
Well, no, I think she didn't say specifically, but she was talking to the two of them.
I don't think she meant them.
But she said it later because she said, this is the thing, she said, I think y'all are meant to be together. I think, y'all are good together. And if y'all decide not to say no, for Jasmina, it would be like a year and a half before you meet somebody. But when you meet somebody, that you'll have regret that you didn't follow through on this marriage thing. And she said to Michael, if you all say no, she said it's going to be like 5 years before you find somebody else. So I don't think she said with her, but she was talking to the two of them, so that kind of went without saying.
Yeah, but to me, I need you to be specific. I need you to say with her that we're going to have twins, or with him, I'm going to be together. Because in this process, she can say no. In a year and a half, she have with somebody else. He can say no. And in 5 years, he's in another relationship and have the boys that she talked about and have triplet with somebody else.
But she could have said that because Jasmina said in her presence, ooh, because he talked about a boat, going to California, and she was like, ooh, we're going to have money. The medium could have very well said, I didn't say he was going to do that with you. And she didn't. That's what I'm saying. She's obviously talking to the two of them. But, it really was good for Michael and Jasmina to sit down. They kind of got some reassurance and some insight on where they can or should go. So later on at the table, Michael said how he appreciated it, and especially the fact that she took the time to say, I want to make sure that you want to do this for you, not for me. And he was like, it showed the care and concern that she has for me, and the fact that I went through it and I trusted that she wanted it for my benefit. It showed me that we have some trust between us. So I was like, okay, that was nice for them.
Yeah, it was nice for them.
Mark and Lindsay go for the sound bath, and the guys just playing sounds, to calm their chakras. And she was like, she was really relaxed. She was like, I'm really relaxed. It triggered some things to me and made me think about when they did the third eye chakra, that it made me think about my grandfather and his presence and how, the kind of person he was. But she did say he was stubborn, but he was a good man.
Good man.
And I wish Mark could have met him. And, it brought her to tears. Like, she was so relaxed. It brought her to tears. And it relaxed Mark so much, we really fully thought he was asleep.
Yeah. Oh, he was asleep, dog.
Because she was like, oh, it's a spider on you, and made him jump. I was like, wait a ruin a moment. He might have still been marinating in that calmness, but...
Nah, he was asleep because that music was playing, and dude, he was like...
I think it was good for them, but the calming, the sound bath obviously didn't last all day.
Yeah, it didn't.
Which sucked, but anyway. So then they have their field day. Mm-hmm. They play flip cup, kickball, and dodgeball, which is hilarious. This was one or two times where we see Jasmina and Michael with their coordinated shirts. He's got the I'm the boss shirt on, and hers says I'm the real boss. So they had a good time playing that, and Jasmina and Michael's team with Noy and Steve, they won. Overall, they won 2 out of the 3 games.
2 out of 3 games. Yeah, they won the flip cup and they won the dodgeball.
Yeah, because their daggone Steve took Katina out.
Body shot. Boom.
I mean, took her legs from up under her. It was funny. It's always fun to play kids games when you're an adult. Yes. Kickball and dodgeball.
The only thing about the kickball game was they played on some thick grass. I don't play kickball on some thick grass, but...
I was just trying to figure out who knows where the bases are, because I feel like they was just running to the spots.
They had bases. The grass was so thick.
They was just running to spots.
They was out in Vermont, so...
So later on, they come back inside, and then Jasmine and Michael have another game, and they have different shirts on. It says, One it says better half. His says better, her says half. So I was like, wow, that's why I feel like they like each other. They're in a good place. My husband's convinced that she don't like him.
She friends. They're friends. They're friends. She friend zoned the dude.
Nah.
She friend. Hey, look, I don't need to be a rocket scientist you keep telling me you don't feel me, right? You don't feel no romantic involvement, but we can be cordial. We can hang out. We're friends. She keeps saying it. So who's she saying it for? She's saying it for him, or she's saying it for her well-being? I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything. Y'all just cordial.
No, she's not having feelings.
Don't have any feelings.
But anyway, friends. So they play a game. Who's most likely?
Oh boy.
Who's most likely? Like who's most likely to be the best liar? And they was like Jasmina, and the funny part is Jasmina said me, but Katina explained it. She said it's because it's like you so honest that I would think you were lying, and it would trick me because you don't lie when you're lying.
Even Michael said it. She lying now. She lying now about liking him.
And the messed up part about that is so there's another one. So who was spending most money on somebody? A lot of people said Lindsay, and I felt like it was Lindsay too. Mark says me, and Lindsay thought that was freaking hilarious.
Like you don't spend no money. He said,
she's like, what? He was like, no, I would spend most money on you. Like if you need something from me, I would make sure you get it. I would take care of you. But she was like cracking up laughing to the point where everybody was like,
ooh, like you don't spend no money. She's basically like, she was telling him, you don't spend no money on me now. You got no money.
Who would be the best stay-at-home mom? Who would, everybody was like Noy. And Lindsay is tripping.
Before we even get to Lindsay, I want to get on Noy, because Noy doesn't get a pass on this with me. Noy says she would want to be a stay-at-home mom, why she hates Steve. She hates Steve because he's doing what she wants to do.
I don't say she hates him.
She hates the fact that he doesn't go to work and does a 9 to 5 every day. Right? She hates that fact because he's doing what she wants to do. She said, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. So that's why she asked Steve, when do you want kids? Oh, in a year. Good. She's planning right now. Oh, I could be a stay-at-home mom in a year and this, that, and the other. Guess what, Lindsay? And guess what, Noy? Don't hate on the man because he has a comfortable life now. He's 5 years ahead of you. He worked, he planned, he did things in life in order to get himself there, and you're not there yet. And so that's the issue that she's having. Now we can get to Lindsay. Noy has her own problems.
Lindsay was like, oh yeah, basically Steve, no job. So you have a jobless husband. He ain't got no job. He don't have no income. You want to stay at home mom? And she was like, Lindsay's like, I'm a 2-income household B over here. We had these 2 incomes. I don't know how you expect to live. You want to have kids, but I mean, she's like going off. Like everybody's like.
First of all, to which makes she's ignorant because she don't even know what Steve does or what he do for a living. But they didn't know he was an engineer.
She like Tommy.
No, but understand, he's surviving, right? He's living well. She doesn't. She's joking on and making fun of something she really doesn't even know about.
I told you the big thing with this is people are getting hung up on the fact that, okay, so you got money in the bank, you got savings, but when you use that, how is it being replaced?
But
that's what they're hung up on.
But he has stuff replacing it. They don't know. Again, if I don't work for 6 months, but I still have money coming in, what are you laughing at? You go to work every day. I don't. Right? You punch a clock. I don't. And you're mad because I don't. So you really don't know about their relationship. That's my biggest thing is you're joking on something that you don't even understand about. Matter of fact, you're joking, but your husband don't have a job. And you talking about you're a 2-income family over here. Mark ain't got no job because him and Steve were both on the beach playing football.
In the middle of the day.
In the middle of the day. In the middle of the week. Come on, Lindsay. Come on. Stop throwing stones.
So that was the first. I was like, okay, here she go.
Throwing stones.
Here she go.
The alcohol started talking because she needs to stop drinking.
Yeah. Who is most likely to lie to about his sex, their sex to friends? Elijah one side, I think that would be me, but like Mark said, it would be Lindsay. Some other people said it would be Lindsay. Jasmine was like, Mark, why did you say it would be Lindsay? She was like, cuz I tell him it's good. Everybody was like,
even Michael was like, oh, that ain't Michael. You watch Michael Lips, like, that ain't right.
Jasmine was like,
Michael like, that's not right. Elijah one was like, dang. I was like,
he said, dang, bro.
Dang, bro. You heard, she put that man out there on national television. This is why I don't like Lindsay. because she's willing to front him. He said something about her being hyper. You're talking about, and you lost it. You're talking about this man's sex life, right? If it does not work out with you, you're put his business out there on national television. So if his potential wife is out there, she has another issue. But then I realized, you know what? She said he was selfish in her vignette.
Yeah, she said he was a selfish lover. He could use some improvement, some refinement.
Which means, again, gotta go back to earlier episodes. She's a hypersexual person. She likes sex all the time. She wants it all the time. Even when we on the after party, Mark says if she doesn't get it, she take care of herself. Y'all read between the lines. She take care of herself. It may not be that he's a 2-minute brother. It just means maybe he just can't keep up with her. And then after he gets his, he doesn't satisfy her. And that does make you selfish. So he needs to make sure that he works with her to make sure she get her man. And lack of a better term. I mean, that's what she's saying. I'm not. Look.
You said gets her man.
Gets her man. Whatever. And
that's something we used to say in college.
Yeah, make sure she get hers.
Get your man.
Right, and not roll over and go to sleep. But again, he has to. She needs to teach him her sexual needs, the way that she wants to be met sexually, and not fuss at him or force him. Like, Mark, this is what I like. I don't like you doing this. Could you be a little bit long? Can you be more compassionate? Can you be more intimate? Can you do this, that, and the other, so I can, again, have my orgasm, or whatever the case may be? There's a teaching process. You don't put your man out there like that.
And so Jasmine was like, okay, well, Mark was answering the question, so let me get back to Mark. Why would you say that? And basically Mark said what she said. She was like, I said Lindsay because I feel like she would paint a different picture and say things differently than I would. That would give everybody a different perception.
And she gave a lot of people a perception that Mark don't last long.
Yeah. And so the next question was like, okay, who do you think who'd be most likely to start a fight? Lindsay.
Unanimous decision.
Lindsay.
And winner by unanimous decision, Lindsay. And she got pissed.
She was hot.
Why are you hot?
She was hot. But especially when Steve says, okay, so does that mean she started to fight on the airplane? Why did he say that?
Because that was his jab back at her by him not having a job.
Why did he say that? And she went in. I don't care about nothing. I got God in my heart, and I got a good soul, and I don't give a flick about what y'all got to say about me. I love me, and I'm tired. I put up with people saying stuff about, and I learned how to love myself and forget y'all. And I was like, good gosh.
Yeah, I always think it's funny when people go God and the next word out of your mouth after God is
a cuss.
It's a curse word. It's always hilarious to me. It's funny. Yeah, each his own. Each his own. But again, that was Steve's jab, and she couldn't take Steve's jab back. She couldn't take it.
And it just went downhill from there.
Oh, y'all don't like me and all this, that, and other. And it's like, no, it's not that we don't like you. We just thought that you'd be the first one to start a fight. Just like they thought Jasmine would be the first one to lie. Again, you're playing a game. But again,
most likely
lie. It's the alcohol. The alcohol starting to flowing. The alcohol with her emotions is starting to take the best of her.
And so the next scene we see is Mark in the kitchen with some other people, and Lindsay just comes in there hot. Oh, so you came in here because you want to be a part of production now? You want to be a part of production? That's what you're doing? Okay, that's fine. Whatever. And like she walks away, and like Michael says in his vignette, we were outside. I leave for like 2 minutes. I come back, and it's like bombs over Baghdad out there.
I don't know what's going on.
It's like 4th of July fireworks. And they fighting this commotion, like, what the world? And so he goes to, talk to Mark about, it's like, what happened? And Mark says, we were talking outside, and I used some of her kerosene.
Yeah.
And, she was, like, talking to me about not crossing boundaries, and you basically don't use my stuff. And Michael's like, so she's mad because you used her kerosene. He was like, bro, it's deeper than that. Like, he was like, Mark was like, she grabbed me and she told him, get off of me. you know, and all like that.
Y'all talking about Elijah won't be abusive. She wants to grab. She keep grabbing guys. This is not the first time she keep grabbing them.
Yeah.
She keep grabbing them. See, I need y'all to talk. We need y'all to talk about that. Don't grab people when you're in the heat of argument. Everybody don't remember. You keep grabbing them. Elijah hadn't grabbed Katina.
And yeah. So while Mark is telling Michael about this, you see Elijah, who is obviously Elijah one, like Lindsay's trying to come down the steps, and he's keeping her from coming down the steps.
Which go between the lines. They ain't showing it. She was blowing a gasket upstairs.
She had to have. Because why else would he be on the steps trying to keep her from coming down the stairs?
She had to be going in, where this do that, blah, 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 blah. Y'all know how it is when you try to hold somebody back, and Elijah one was holding her back. That's his rooftop buddy.
Yeah.
They sit on the rooftop and have conversations all the time. That's their rooftop buddy. So he held her back, and next thing you know, we see Lindsay in bed. Mark goes up there and talks to her.
Because Michael tells Mark, it's not about kerosene.
Yeah.
You got to ask her, what is really going on?
What
is this really about? You know,
right.
Let me talk to you. And so, you know, Mark goes to lay in a bed with Lindsay, and he waits a minute, but he's like, you know, trying to talk to her, like, what's the problem? Like, what's going on? And she's like, I was talking to Olajuwon, and he says, you know, basically, I want you to see that what you said, it hurt my friend, Mark. His energy changed with the stuff that you were saying, and I need you to understand that. And so Lindsay flipped it all back to her. It was like, well, I don't understand how I can honor him and still honor myself, you know, and you know, and be truthful about my feelings. And I'm sitting there watching it, and I was like, that is the whole thing about being in a relationship, being in a marriage, and when you love somebody. Sometimes you are going to have to care more about their feelings than you. And then also, it's easy to honor your that person and him. What you say is, you know, you don't say, because I'm gonna tell him it's good when it's actually bad. You don't say that in front of people.
No.
First of all, you probably shouldn't say anything, period. But then if you're gonna say it, it's like, you know, I'm not necessarily fulfilled, or it's not necessarily sad. It's what you say, and it can honor you and him. Because remember that when you honor your spouse, you're actually honoring yourself.
Yeah.
When you don't talk bad or down or about your spouse, since the two are one, you're honoring your spouse and your marriage. So it was like she was like, I don't understand how I can do that. Basically, she was like, how do I make him look good and still say what I want to say? Not understanding that when you say it to make him look bad, you're making yourself look bad too.
Right, because you don't say that in public. There's some things that you say in-house. There's in-house conversations. And then out-house conversations. Your sex life in the midst of a group, that's out-house that's to be in-house conversation. Right? You don't do it out. You don't be talking about your man's sex. Because he could easily say, you know what, you're terrible in bed. He could have went, because it could have went south. He was like, oh, reason I'm short because I didn't want to sleep with you anymore. But whatever case may be, it could have went south. So you don't put yourself, and you respect your spouse, and you care for your spouse enough not to put them out there. Whatever it is. I don't care if it's sex. I don't care if it's cooking. I don't care whatever it is. You always make sure that it's respectful.
And what you say, and that's what I'm about to say. What you mean by it? Because sometimes you have those conversations in a group. You know, that might be something you talk about, but you just don't degrade your spouse in front of other people.
No, you don't.
It's always a way that you can talk about something that you're not happy about without making them look like, you know, a loser. You know, and she couldn't do that. And I was just like, it struck me like you were saying, you know, that's really deep. Because my thing was, again, in a marriage, you have to get outside the space of, like, it's a competition, where I can't make him look better than me, or this. It's not about that. Sometimes
it's not a win-win.
A lady from our church always says this. Sometimes you have to take down for peace sake. Sometimes you have to take down for peace sake.
Or you got to table it for another day, and table it for another day. But again,
but more than anything, you don't talk bad about your spouse.
We're not competing against each other. We're on the same team. We're not competing. I don't have to make me look good to make you look bad, right? We're together. We're one. You have the same last name. You live in the same house.
And not only that, it don't have to be about. It doesn't have to be, even in that, a tit for tat.
Yeah.
At this moment, it don't have to be both of us look good. You know, it could just be like, let me just esteem my spouse in this moment. Because I could say out here, like he sucks in bed. It gets, you know, but why do that? That was like, just like, wow. And then,
that's immaturity.
While she's talking to him, she says, you know, like, your life's been falling apart since I met you. And whatever. He's like, now hold on. So you didn't want me to call you hyper.
Yeah, you digging.
You had an issue with the kerosene thing. And you would say my life was falling apart. He said my life has not been falling apart. That's how you said my life's not falling apart. My life is still together. Like, that's a dig. Like, why would you say that?
Yeah.
You know, and it was just a mess. And in the end, look at what Mark did. Mark did what she should have done. And I know it's different spaces, you know, but she got sick overnight.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night, couldn't keep anything down. And he could have been like,
yeah.
Even though they had a knockdown drag out, he made a point to try to get her straight and stay up with her and take care of her. They left early to take her to urgent care. He called to ask, do y'all have IV fluids that you can give her? I think she's going to need it. You know what I'm saying?
He let her pull out on the side of the road and get sick and throw up. You know, he took her in his car. He did, again, as a husband should. He could have had his butt on his back and say, you know what? Screw you. Serve you right. That's what you get for being nasty, mean, and whatever case may be. Take care of your own goddamn self.
That could have been that same space where she was like, how can I honor him and honor myself? He could have been like, how can I honor me, letting her know I'm still mad you was wrong for this, but still take care of her. You can't. In this case, it doesn't matter what happened beforehand.
But
I need to take care of her and make sure she's straight. And Mark did that. Deacon Mark stepped up, and I appreciate it.
But again, it takes, when you take those vows seriously, for sickness and health, to death do us part. You never know when sickness may come, right? You never know when you have good days or bad days. But I come to honor, cherish, love, respect you because this is who you are. I'm going to honor you. I'm going to cherish you. I'm going to love you. I'm going to respect you. Even when I don't feel like it, even when you don't hurt my feelings, even when I'm upset, even when I'm mad. And that's what Mark did. He took those vows seriously, and he's willing to take care of his wife. Because that's not his girl. He's willing to take care of his wife. And she recognized that a little bit, even in her sickness state. Oh, he took care of me. Yeah, he cares for you. To me, that's wooing somebody off their feet much more than buying them a Louis Vuitton, a Prada purse, some red bottoms. When you take care of somebody when they're sick, and when they can't take care of themselves, to me, that is top shelf.
So the last few things, Jasmina gets up because Lindsay was supposed to be cooking, but she left early. So Jasmina cooked breakfast for everybody. Noy and Michael talked about how in this space they were just soaking up the moment, enjoying their time together. They know it's winding down. They only have 13 days left. And that's when Jasmina talks to about, well, she asked Steve, the question was like, is there a lot of pressure being looked at as the paradise couple?
Right.
And Noy was like, you know, basically, well, we're not
the paradise couple.
What y'all think we are. We're still working on trusting each other.
Yeah.
But to their credit, they still probably have less issues than everybody else.
Yeah, because Steve know how to handle those though, and he kind of talks Noy through this situation. He looks at it with I'd say adult. He look at it with a more mature perspective, and he's not arguing and putting that stuff out there like that. And like I said, they only have that issue, that major issue, which is the social media, because she mentioned they looked at the finances. She's kind of calmed down on his finances and his job situation. So she's kind of relieved about that. But again, it's this social media issue that is a big difference.
Olajuwon and Katina talk about how they're working on having deeper conversations. And like I said before, Olajuwon says, you know, it can get ugly when we have these situations, but you know, there's love there. And they was like, did you say love? Would you say love? Did you say that? Did you say that? Everybody was like, oh, did he say love? Oh, did you say that? He was like, now leave me alone, y'all.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because same thing with Jasmine and Michael. They talk about meeting with the medium and again, how I said before, that he said it showed that she cares for him, and you know that he's got some trust. And Noy's like, oh, do I hear love there? And she was like, y'all love to throw that word around. But I like to see them. They were sitting there holding hands. That's why I was like, when you say that she doesn't like, I think she likes him. Again, she's just not having what I'm sorry, Ryan described with him. Brett. I'm not having those butterflies. But she's there. She's just not having them. And you might not never have butterflies.
She wants that romantic. She wants to, when she see him, it's like, oh my God. And she get weak on her knees. Again, you may never have that. Right? And you may not have those feelings.
But you look forward to him coming home. Yeah. You know, you'd be like, oh, okay. Michael, when you going to be coming home? You know, it's those kind of things. It might not be like, when I see him, I feel all giddy inside. It might not be that.
Yeah, I tingle downstairs. All that type of stuff. So, again, it may not get that.
Out the way.
Not out the way. That's what she talking. When people say I hear feelings, I get feelings in my whole body. When I see you, my mind goes, you know, I just want to be embraced. I'm talking about them. I'm talking about them.
The specific thing you said.
Does she get tingly downstairs? She might get tingly.
Well, I'm just saying, the more we do this, the more I troll this joke again.
Not like control. To me, when she says that, that's what I think she's feeling. Because again, she hasn't given the brother any love yet, any romance, any hugging. She's used to that.
I don't disagree with you. I'm talking
you just want me to say it? Oh, you want me to say it?
I'm talking about you talking about tingle downstairs. Come on, sir.
Oh, sorry. She get aroused.
I don't have an issue with what you say at all. It was just that one point. You just had to go there.
You want to be a grown up. She gets aroused.
You just had to go. You ain't got to say that neither. You just had to go there. Anyway.
That's what she's talking about.
We see Noy and Steve going home, and they bring up the conversation, which we already mentioned, about living arrangements and how it's going to be or whatever. And basically, like I said, you know, we was like, you know, being married, you have to say goodbye to your old life. And I know it takes some getting used to, and it makes you anxious. So they have a whole conversation about that. And I understand that. Because I wouldn't want to be left high and dry. It makes you be like, I gave everything up for this person before because I thought this was going to be. And I got screwed over.
I think it depends on who it is, though. I mean, I was willing to give everything up to move with you. I gave my apartment up, the job, all that.
But you also didn't have any. You did. You know, I think you're more likely to do that when you haven't been screwed over. Like when people have serious trust issues when you've been screwed over once. And so I understand where she's coming from.
I understand where she's going from, but there's some people that, you know, willing to. If I was like, you know what, I'm committed to this marriage, I'm gonna jump in head first. She's already married 8 weeks, right? This is something that you're gonna be talking about, so you're gonna dive into this thing. I'm not telling you to give up. It's your studio apartment. It's not your house. Mm-hmm. Right? You can go get another apartment. Get yourself up. Go live with your husband. So, yeah. I mean, I don't see marriages. I very rarely do you ever see newlyweds who are married and they apart that it works.
That never makes sense to me. But I mean,
take it back. I can't say that because we was apart till I finished college.
But just I was coming like 2 months.
Yeah, for 2 or 3 months.
But anyway, so that's the episode.
Yeah, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell notification. Make sure you let us know what you think of this episode. Please let us know what you think of the episode. Let us know what you think of Jackie's skin color. And be on the lookout for our video. We may drop our vacation video out there for you guys to just see what we did and where we went for our vacation. It wasn't a honeymoon or the anniversary. It was just that we needed a break and we decided to take a vacation. So
we got toasted.
It got toasted. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, the bell notification, and check out the All-Star panel coming up on this Sunday.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.